Hey everybody, what's up? Ethan Quant here, and welcome back to another episode of the Real EQ Podcast. Today, I'm excited to sit down with somebody who has been making a major impact in the space of personal growth and relationships. My dear friend, Harrison Thompson. Harrison is a passionate therapist and relationship consultant who's mastered the art of helping people right where they are. As a cognitive behavioral therapist, born and raised right here in the Bahamas, he spent over a decade guiding singles and couples towards healthier, more meaningful connections and relationships. You've probably seen his viral videos breaking down the truth about love, dating, and self-awareness. The same videos that earned him the Bahamian Icon Award for People's Choice. He's worked with everyone from government agencies to universities and corporations, all while inspiring thousands to level up their relationships. So please join me in welcoming my good friend, this is my therapist, y'all, Mr. Harrison, a.k.a. Harry T. Harry, what you say, bro?
Hey, good, bro. Pleasure to be here, man. What you saying?
Man, Harry, I ain't gonna lie. It's so good. I just told my team when you pulled up, I said, it speaks volumes when you're somebody who could get quality people to show up. And you was one quality person, bro.
Oof.
I really appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, babe. It's mutual. You know how this thing go, babe.
Yeah,
Each one teach one.
Yeah,
That's us.
Yep. I can't even remember how long we knew each other, but I think
because this started from Elite Fitness days, so that had to go way back.
Boy, that's way back. So that's like 2013, 2014, easy.
You got me ready for marriage.
Right.
And I got married in 2015. So leading up, I believe, 2013, 2014.
14,
bro.
easy. Yeah,
Easy.
Man. Boy, that's more than a decade,
time.
bro.
That's way more than a decade.
And you still here.
Still here.
And man, I like to start off every episode with how do you, Harry, define success?
Boy, that's such an interesting word. These days, success for me is to what degree am I deeply aligned with my purpose? Because that looks a little bit different depending on which snapshot of my life you look at, right? But alignment is something that only that person can know. And I feel like a lot of times we delay, we procrastinate, we get distracted by a whole host of other things, trendy or not. And for me, success is how aligned am I to what I'm here for. And of course, that for me is being able to help people through the lens of therapy, psychology, that kind of thing. So to the degree that a person is aligned, I believe that is a good starting point for helping people understand success, man. That's how I view it this day.
Awesome. And based on that, hold on, first of all, let me tell you all something. This is going to be an awesome episode because it's always a great joy just to even have a conversation with Harry. And I really feel like we should do this more often just as a regular.
I agree.
Because you always, you feed me, bro. You feed me,
you.
man. And I appreciate that. So Harry, based on that definition, would you say that you yourself are successful?
Nowadays, yes. It took me some time, man, because, coming into this country, figuring out what am I going to do with therapy, that wasn't easy. Bahamian people aren't generally folks that like to talk and be vulnerable. So to now create a space where people are coming to me just for that was a trip. I loved it, but could I actually be successful in the execution of this idea and thought? And it was about 3 years in where I didn't see one person. I didn't have one gig booked. I didn't have one client on the books. I was doing everything for free. All these janky stuff in the corner of the islands that nobody has ever heard about, I was doing them for free. And I think it was just warming up to the idea that when you're introducing new things, you got to be patient in meeting people where they are. And that has kind of defined a lot of what it is I do today. Instead of just seeing where people should be, I see where people are. Because I think everybody knows where they're trying to go, but who helps people see where they are? And so once I was kind of able to lock into that, things shifted for the better.
Man, well, I could say, I think definitely I agree. I wholeheartedly feel as though you are successful. And it's interesting because I was one of those people who therapy, that's for the crazy people, right? Or you didn't want nobody to know your business.
Truth.
And I could say that honestly, it was really my daughter, Rebecca, who really kind of inspired me to be more open with, I guess, my mental health and ensuring that, just like the physical, you're working it out, you're ensuring that your physical health is intact, your mental and emotional health are intact as well. And I can say that I remember, I remember I knew that you did that.
Right.
But I remember that first time I called you, bro. And I was like, I just need to talk to somebody, but and I was like, wait, Ari, what your session is an hour. You give me that price. And I was like, all right, that's about what? 4 vodka tonics? I can make that happen. And I can say literally that, honestly, just knowing, and I mean, the session itself was beneficial for me, but just knowing that I have somebody who I can call, and I'm a proponent. I believe that you should always call the professionals, right?
Right.
Coming from a fitness background as a consultant, even in the media space, my whole thing is, you want to call the professionals. If you need help solving a problem, call the professionals. And I can definitely say, having you as my mental health professional has really helped. Not just me individually, but I mean, you did the sessions with me and my wife even prior to getting married.
Yes.
And so I want to say, here in the front of my audience, that I really do appreciate you and I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you, man.
So let me ask you this: what would you say? I mean, you talked about the fact that for the first 3 years, things kind of was slow and then it kicked off. What would you say was the catalyst for why people are now starting to reach out? Like, why did that switch happen in your words?
I think whenever you're doing anything in this culture, there's always going to be this unintentional testing period where people need to see if you're for real. Like, people come and go all the time. People come up, they pop up when it's trendy, they go viral for a moment, but the stickability, that's what you notice a lot of people lack. And a lot of people could be good at what it is they do, but they don't have the associated competencies to help them stick that thing through, which is the grit, the resilience, the conviction of why you're doing this, in spite of not necessarily getting that external validation that you were looking for. But that 3-year wilderness period showed me something about myself. I was doing this because I know that I had the skills to do it, but I wasn't yet doing it because I had a deep convicted belief. I looked at it from the lens of like a good business model. Like I could see myself making money from this, but the why of what this was really for wasn't solidified in me. And I think that 3-year purpose was designed for me to actually see like, yeah, Harrison, you may make some money here, but the primary purpose is to actually help people. And as long as I'm helping people, the money flows. So it really kind of shifted my mindset away from business and money first to people first, and then let's figure out the business around that. So it changed the dynamic of how I talk. Like when you see me to a function, man, I am bringing reality. I don't care about the quotes. I don't care about who's in the audience. Like I am bringing that humanity.
Right.
We all using the bathroom. We all got stress. We all had to drive here either in a good mood or a bad mood. Let's stop pretending. And when I locked in on that principle, that changed everything. People started reaching out a little bit more in sincerity. Before it was kind of like, well, what yous do? And then it kind of became, Harrison, do you really think you could assist me with this? And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm in it.
Yeah.
And 1 client a month, bro, turned into 2 clients a month. 1 client a week turned into 2 clients a week. And now I got bookings till like next year.
Man, and that's why I'm so grateful that you're here, because I know you busy, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I know you busy. But so what would you say, because you've been doing this now for how many years?
Officially since 2011.
All right.
Failed math. So whatever that number is, it's that.
So that's about 14 years officially.
That's about 14 years. Yeah.
Yeah, going on 15 years.
Yeah.
So a decade and a half.
A decade and a half, bro.
Like you've been doing this. What would you say, like what do people mostly come to you with, or what do you mostly help people with? That's the question.
Yeah, so people usually start off with the recent things. Harrison, the wife just went through my phone. She saw something I should have been doing. I need your help. Or people usually come to me after the breakdown or after the blow up, after something is now inescapable, which is cool. I can help you at that point too. But I am trying to build a culture of accountability to self before these things happen. So while I'm treating what the people are actually coming to me for in that moment, I'm also trying to help them see that you have to find value in things before the feeling shows up. Because a lot of people only value therapy when the feeling shows up. Harrison, I feel like I'm about to fall. I feel like I'm about to crash out. Therapy is vital at that point. But were there some things that were happening before this point that we could have captured that could have prevented this? And this is what makes long-term therapy a challenge in any community. Why do I want to invest in something that I don't yet feel I need? Right? Because therapy ain't cheap. So to invest in this as a regular tune-up, as a regular check-in, like, man, I straight. Put on the game, have me a drink. I good until I need you. So I feel like if we can get people a little bit more accountable to self by slowing down and being present, instead of always being so overly occupied with what the tomorrows are going to bring, I feel like we can really start to understand the value beyond just the urgency and immediacy of that. If that makes sense.
I mean, it does make total sense. But and so I guess my personal therapy journey, really evolved because I was one of those people. Like literally the first time I went to counseling was with me and my ex-wife. Like I was already like, we went to marriage counseling.
Right.
And I just remember we went for marriage counseling, the counselor throughout different sessions, like, hey, you know what? Point blank, do y'all want to be married? Like, do you want to be married? So, of course, my ex-wife was like, yes. And I was like, boy, I know. And when I said I didn't know, that was when the counselor was like, all right, well, I think we need to do separate sessions, right? Because you need to know, like, it ain't make no sense doing marriage counseling if you don't even want to be married. So we need to figure that out and figure out why and this, that, and next. So we decided to do separate sessions. And but that was like some work. Like part of what we uncovered was, even though I was going through some things at the end in my marriage, it was like, okay, well, the reality is that the reason I wasn't happy in the marriage for years, but the reason I stayed in it was because of my daughter. And the reason I stayed in it because of my daughter was because my dad left my mom with 4 kids, classic Bahamian story. And she was a single mom. And I felt as though if I left the marriage, I was leaving my daughter, right? And when that woman tell me, she said, first of all, Ethan, your relationship with your wife has nothing to do with your relationship with your daughter. And you are not your father. Boy, when she tell me that, I tell you, I bawled like a baby.
Man, the release.
Man, it was literally life-changing, right? Wow. Because, you sit down there and you hold these things in for so long and you don't know how to articulate it. And worse, you're a man, so you can't really talk. You can't share. You don't know who to talk to.
Right.
But that was a big fear of mine, because that was the only thing I had to model. But when she told me that, she was like, you're not your father. Anyway, let's just call it. When she told me that session was Tuesday, I was out by Thursday.
My goodness. My goodness.
But, it took some work. And so, that was the catalyst to get me in. But then, I realized, and what got me to come to you with my now wife was, like, I understand the importance of it. Like, to be able to have a third non-biased party professional kind of help you navigate, right? And I really do like your approach because it isn't like what I grew up thinking counseling was or therapy was, which is preachy, right?
Right.
I'll be interested. Like, share with me what is like your approach, because I mean I could go on all day, because like you've helped me so much. But like, what is your approach when people come to you? Like, how do you actually help people? And what is, like, I guess, your style or approach to therapy?
Yeah, man, I was so intentional that I didn't want to be just a replica of what Google could produce, or nowadays AI, with just a search query, right? Like, what is an attachment style? Or Harrison, what is depression? What are the top 3 signs that you're not dealing with anxiety well? Like, Google could do that way better than I could. But what I come in to do is I actually come in to show the associations between things. Kind of maybe just restructuring what you already know in a different way to see maybe if something new can be revealed there for a person. But in order to do that, there has to be a vulnerable connection. People aren't willing to challenge their current process of thinking if there isn't vulnerability. And I want you to think about vulnerability as the space to be real with yourself without the fear of judgment. And so one part of a therapist, or one of the major parts of being a therapist, is creating that space and environment where people could actually feel comfortable enough to take that shirt off. And then once they take the shirt off, without having to worry about who's seeing me, they could spend time on that vulnerability and extract from that things they didn't see before. So as a therapist, my goal is not to tell you anything new, but it's to reveal some things that were in you that you might not have seen. And so it's different for everybody. You know, some people come with 1,000 walls up. And so we got to take out the jackhammer now. We got to kind of break them walls down systematically. Some people come to me just, they're done. Harrison, I'm tired. I don't know up from down. And we need to put some structure back to that. Some people have a pride issue where it's like, listen, I know you've created this legacy. I know your name is out here in the public. But listen, we have to create a space where you don't have to be anything right now. Just be. And once you allow yourself to be, your emotions speak to you. I don't have to do the hard work of listening to that. You do as the client. And once I create the space, people kind of heal themselves in the space of a professional, if that makes sense. So I have carefully tailored the way my sessions work to make sure that people aren't just becoming enabled by me, whereas they always need me every time something happens, but they're empowered by me. So the same structure that we create in therapy, you should be able to create that home or in the office space or in the workspace. And once a client could do that, all is well.
Well, like I tell you, I remember when me and the Cal came, you know, Harry say we gotta. And it's crazy because, you know, I always tell people, and it was something that you shared with us. He was like, you know, your role here is to really give us the tools to put in our toolbox so that you can navigate whatever scenario comes up, right? Whatever situation comes up. And that's something that really stuck with me. And I can tell you for a fact, like I know you got a lot of tricks in your bag, but one of the things that really stays with me a lot, and I think it was kind of like an aha moment when you had both of us sit down in your office and we drew something, right? And the other person had to guess what we drew. And it was fun and funny and lighthearted, but it was so profound because the whole purpose of that was, like, I can't remember what the girl drew. She drew a water, like one of her water bottle things. And I don't know what I was calling, but it damn sure didn't look like a water bottle.
Right.
But, you know, I guess the point of that exercise was to show that, you know, we look at things differently, right? Like we have different perspectives, and what we think we may be showing or communicating or sharing, the other person may not pick up on that. And so like that is something that that exercise, I literally carried that not just in my romantic relationship, but in the relationship that I have with everybody, like to make sure that is there real understanding in what I'm trying to communicate or what I'm showing, right?
That's good, bro.
And I could say, you know, that was really on you, man.
You know, because what's so interesting that you bring this up, people will think that because I'm hearing you, that I am understanding you, right? And clarity is attached to hearing. So people think that because they're clear, you must understand me. Because I said that as best as I could possibly say it, right? But clarity is not the same thing as understanding. And I remember that exercise, it was designed to expose our biases and our preferences. And it reveals how our human nature is not to look at differences with an open heart, but to look at differences as a wrong, a thing that needs to be corrected. But if you think about the basis of relationships, we're not together because of how alike we are. We're together because of how well we can manage our differences. Because there's never such a thing as universal compatibility, where the nature of who a man is and the nature of who a woman is would just be good randomly. It's managing those differences so that we can remain good. And once we could look at differences as being okay, understanding that the way you perceive things being different from me doesn't make it wrong, now we have a space for harmony, right? That's where the beautiful stuff takes place. But when you're expecting yourself out of the other person, you're already kind of looking for you in a person who can't deliver on you, right? And I think, when you've been in a space for so long and you're kind of so used to having power and authority and things always work out when I do X, Y, Z, to execute on X, Y, Z and now it ain't working out, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was so happy to see that y'all received that so well because that was executed flawlessly.
Yeah. No, I mean, but like when I tell you, we still utilize that, and we have a healthy and happy relationship. I just saw another couple that I admire, Derek and LaShanta Smith, right? I saw them at an event a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I really admire how you all show up for each other. Like you don't see one without the next, right? And they always there. And there's like, man, y'all the same way. Like we feel like the same way about the Quants, and I can really say that my approach to relationship,
Right.
well, even more specifically, my approach to my marriage has really been shaped by the foundation that you gave us. And, the fact that you have to communicate and, creating that safe space. And honestly, I showed up there when the Kel first moved, and I was like, hold on, I already know that we need help.
Yeah.
Let me go. Let me let Harry tell this woman how crazy and wrong she is. That was my intention.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, but I get bites, right? And that's something else that I love. Like, the fact that it ain't like no side. Like, you's my boy. Like, we done been boys at this point. All right, Harry got my side. And for you to go there and just, no favoritism, no bias, just really, this is what I see and this is how y'all could help.
Right. I love you, bro, and I care about you. So the reason why it couldn't be biased is because I don't want to show you something that would disable you in the next year or so. And I often think about that. Are we just delaying an argument in therapy? Or are we actually avoiding this? Are we actually allowing ourselves to put in work so that this doesn't happen again? And what I was so impressed about, especially as a man, you came in there willing. Usually a lot of guys, they get dragged into that office and they don't necessarily feel like this is something they want to do, but you came in there willing. Even though you can tell me that this wasn't initially something I was open to, you still showed me that you were open to receiving something new. And I didn't put that in you. You came in there with that. So it really does speak to your mentality and mindset just as an individual. Let me just put that out there. It wasn't 100% me, maybe like 96%. But my boy, he came halfway. He met me halfway, and that's really what makes therapy so good.
So, of course, you said I can speak on the male perspective because I am a male. I can speak on the married perspective in terms of how therapy has benefited me, because I know even outside of my marriage, like I was like, I need to talk to you, like just helping me navigate things that
Right.
I needed to outside of that, right? I mean, I don't even want to say like how important is it, but I really want for somebody watching this, whether it's man, woman, couple, right? Like I want to kind of drive home the importance of seeking help, like, and not just because there's a problem, but like you don't have to do this by yourself, right?
Right.
Like, and I think that's something that I want to drive home. But like, if somebody's watching this and they're like, boy, you know what, I think I kind of going through something, or, I think I may want to talk to somebody, or I'm not where I want to be, because like, really, what would you recommend the first steps be? Like, I mean, like, how would I, like, if I am kind of thinking that I'm going through something, like, what can I do if it isn't just automatically right now picking up the phone to call Harry?
Yeah, man. We have unfortunately made feelings the enemy. And when feelings are the enemy, we no longer have a GPS system that shows us what is the actual problem. So a motto in therapy that I have is feeling is the true healing. Or at least feeling is the first step in true healing. How can I change things if I'm not able to look at things, if I'm not able to see things, if I'm not able to feel things and touch things and be affected by things, right? And so the busyness of our life doesn't really allow for a lot of space to feel. Like you and I as men, productive men, many times we just wake up and we execute on the agenda in spite of how we feel. So I could feel tired. I could feel lethargic. I just got to make sure that I wake up at 8 o'clock to do X, Y, Z because I got to be done by 12 because I got to catch a flight. Cool. But at least at the end of the day, there has to be a period of your life where you do inventory. Like, how was that conversation today? Is that still with me? Is that thing that that person said to me still affecting me to this point? And if it is, we got to be present to feel that. Because if you come into therapy not knowing what you're feeling, I now have to shine a flashlight and see what sticks. I'm not going to say it's wasting time, but it doesn't allow therapy to be as efficient as it needs to be. So I would say to anybody watching this, give yourself the permission to feel your feelings. And understand that feeling whatever you need to feel is never a sign of weakness. It is a reflection of your reality. All right? So while I may be able to execute on things, that doesn't mean that I'm well. Just because I'm able to get to 5 o'clock and clock out, that doesn't mean that I'm okay. So we don't want to think that functionality is an indicator of wellness. It really isn't. A lot of us are functionally depressed. A lot of us are just waking up and doing things on muscle memory. We don't even know how we got home half the time. So pause. Give yourself about 5 to 10 minutes to just feel whatever you need to feel. Put down the armor and just look in the mirror and receive. And once you jot your notes on what that is you have received, bring it to me.
All right, because there's this whole thing, and mind you, this is a school of thought that honestly I subscribe to a certain extent, right? Like, it's kind of like fuck your feelings, right?
Yeah.
Like we show up, we just got to get it done.
For sure.
Right? We just got to show up and get it done. And I agree with that to a certain extent. But one of the things that I have started, at least in this just came, like sometimes, just the weight is so much, babe.
Yeah.
And, you just can't ignore the feelings. And so I have found myself really sitting, alone in the gym. Typically happens in the gym. Like I have literally been in the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Same.
And I just release. I just cry. I just it's so much, at work you're trying to do this, you're trying to be a good father, you're trying to be a good husband, you're trying to do, and it's all these things. And then I just release.
Yeah.
Right? Like literally I'm sitting down there, snorty nose and everything, right?
One more set.
But you gotta get it. But I find that I do that, and for me, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, and maybe you could kind of give me some insight on this, but I don't allow people to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I do that in my privacy. Like I remember before, it was like I used to, I think maybe 3 or 4 times I cry in front of my wife, right?
Right.
Snorty nose, ugly cry. And then I was like, I don't want her to think I was a crybaby.
For sure.
So I start crying.
I
So
get
then,
that.
man up. So I still cry, but like she could say, well, when is the last time you saw Ethan cry?
Right.
Right? I get emotional when certain things happen, but like for the most part, like when I have that, I just need to let go. Or it becomes so much like I'm not very emotional, but I am in touch with my emotions.
But I'm making total sense.
Okay. All right. I don't know. It sounds good in my head, but use a professional.
Yeah.
But like in instances like that, because I mean, I think, especially for men, like maybe you could bring some clarity, right? Like that whole notion of being vulnerable. Because the first thing is like, but I ain't no punk.
Right.
You ask me to do chick stuff. You ask me to do woman stuff. Women are emotional and vulnerable and all this stuff. I need mine. I just got to get it done. Let's kind of speak to that, right? Like, how do I navigate that space of allowing myself to be vulnerable, feeling my feelings, being in touch with my emotions as a man?
Yeah. I think there's a key difference as a man between vulnerability and expression. So I am always vulnerable with my wife, but I don't always express my emotion to my wife. Because if I am my wife's source of strength, too much expression can compromise her dependency on my strength.
Yeah.
And that's not lying. That's understanding the power of timing and environment. You know what I mean? I can't just give my wife everything that's going on. As a man, I'm supposed to shield her from some of that. But vulnerability is she knows what I'm going through. So I can tell her, man, today is a tough day, but I process and I work in. So if you see me a little slow, I just trying to work through some things in my head. But I'm not expressing that feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
So vulnerability is just being honest with whatever that truth is. Baby, I'm anxious. Baby, I feeling sad. Baby, I'm a little confused. But expression is timing. You can't be reckless with your expression, bro. Because if you're reckless with your expression, it messes up the dynamic of how relationships are supposed to work.
Yeah.
Right? If 90% of things come to me today, my wife will get about 30% of that in emotional expression. Because there's some work I've done since that has happened so that when I give it to you, it's refined. But then there are those things that I have to give you in a raw way so that you do feel like I'm being honest and transparent with you. Because I am. But then both her and I have to understand, as a man, there are some things I just cannot give you. And it's not secrecy. It's just, I know you depend on me for strength.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is why brotherhood is powerful. Because brotherhood now allows for vulnerability and expression to exist in the same space. So now I could be in my feelings and I could actually express that to you because I don't necessarily need to be strong for you. I got to be strong for my little girl and my wife. But me and EQ, man, we just bros.
Yeah.
We in the same fight. We in the same struggle, you know? And so I cannot express how powerful it is for a man to have good brotherhood, to have good fatherhood, and to have good husbandhood, if that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense, and I feel that, but and I think that we are evolving, right? But you said something that being vulnerable doesn't mean automatically that you're expressive, right?
Right.
Like, and honestly, I made a conscious decision, for various reasons, but ultimately, like, I don't tell my wife everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get into offloading how my day was.
Yeah.
Because for that same reason, like, I don't want her. Like, I honestly just don't think she could handle it.
Yeah, but
And don't think she can handle it. But I'm very careful. Like, so I think I do a good job, but I realize that I don't think I do. I don't think I do as good a job as I think I do in terms of not being able to express. I think it may be a bit muted, but my wife knows, like, she knows me. So, like, depending on my answer, and she asks how my day is, she knows that, all right, let me leave Ethan alone now.
for sure.
He needs his time. But, like, that dynamic, right? Like, understanding not being expressive.
Yeah.
And you saying brother, but I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, because, like, I hear that, and I sure somebody else hear that, and I get it because I'm living that, right? But how, like, I want you to just reiterate the difference between being vulnerable and expressing your emotions, because I really want my brothers to understand that, and that there is a difference, because I still kind of get a sensation in the pit of my stomach when I hear vulnerability, because for me, I hear vulnerability and I see I'm a man, but I got so much stuff going on, but I know that ain't what it means, but I still kind of get it. So, like, I just want my brothers, especially the guys who are watching this episode, to really understand that. So if you could just reiterate that for me.
Sure.
Why, and also indicate, like, why is this important to overall life success?
So let's say vulnerability is a synonym for the word truth. I always try to live in truth. So even now when people, like, buck me in public and they ask me, hey, Harrison, what's going on? I pause for like 0.5 seconds and I'll say, most things are good. Because in this moment, I'm being vulnerable with that truth. Now, I may not express to you the real pain of what that is.
Right.
But I'm in that truth enough to talk about it. And the beauty is, because I spend so much time in that vulnerability, the communication on it doesn't always move me to emotionality. For a lot of men, when they get vulnerable for the first time, they're seeing a lot of things that's happening with them for the first time too, so they can't help but to be emotional in that moment, and they reel it back. But when you get comfortable in vulnerability, oh yeah, man, that's my pain. Oh yeah, man, that's just that struggle that comes up every now and then when I starting to do a new thing and imposter syndrome creeps in. I know about that. I could talk about it at length because I spend time with it. But a lot of men don't spend time with their vulnerable self. So when they actually do, there's a lot going on in that moment that he's trying to overregulate. So vulnerability doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be emotional. But if you're not often vulnerable, when you are, emotions may always be attached to it.
Hold on. So you say so because I hear that, right? Now I'm even thinking as men, and like I said, I'm speaking from the male perspective because I am a man. We need, before anything, if vulnerability is truth, we need to be vulnerable with ourselves first.
You got it?
Oh boy, hey.
You got it, bro. That's the spoiler alert. And
Wow.
a lot of people don't live in their truth. A lot of people live in the perception of what they think they should be. A lot of people live in the pressure of what people are telling them to be. So people have to figure out, to what degrees to the right or to the left am I away from my truth? You know, people talk about things, but they don't know how to exist in that truth for themselves. Like people will say, oh, therapy is a great thing. But then when we ask the question, how are you? Oh, man, you know, I saw it, man. I saw it. They're not being vulnerable. You know what I mean? Because there's this attempt to try and protect something or protect this emotion from coming out. And when you got to worry about protecting what's coming out of you, you can't be truthful. That's why vulnerability is so important. And that's why that's the start with yourself. My wife can't bring that out of me if I don't already exist in that space.
Right.
Every time my wife has tried to make me vulnerable when I wasn't already vulnerable, I looked at her as the ops. Like, so you need to leave me alone, man. I didn't tell you everything cool. Like, why you keep on, like, chill. She ain't saying I need to cry. She's just saying I need to be vulnerable because she could pick up on the energy something's off. I'm saying with my mouth everything fine, but my energy is showing her,
Right.
boy, something going on with Harrison. And because women are creatures of relationship, they always see the relationship between things. She's now concerned because she doesn't have information.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to man and woman getting together, we got to give our women information. I got to know what to say to you so that you don't have to worry about me. And I often know how to be strategically emotional with you so you can see that this is real. But at the same time, I don't want to give you too much more than you can handle so that this relationship isn't compromised.
But you are strategically emotional.
Yes.
All about strategy and intentionality. You know, you said something like, as you're talking, right? And this is when you recognize the growth because, you know, vulnerability, if vulnerability is a synonym for truth, like my whole thing is truth is really, like, you have to know yourself. So self-awareness is another, I think, foundational component of that, right? Because you have to know yourself in order to be true with yourself, but you also have to be true with yourself in order to know yourself, right?
Both ways.
Right. So it's kind of one of those funny things. But like I remember, and I think in relationships, it's important for women to also understand this about men, right? Because I had an incident. And I call it an incident, but you know, like I don't get fuss. Like I don't fuss. I don't get rattled easily. And I remember, I was cooking dinner or lunch at home, and the gal came in, and this was recently too. And you know, she was just like I was really just battling.
Yeah.
Like I literally battling, you know, she came in, she's in the kitchen and she's like, oh, what you doing? I'm like, I'm cooking. What you gonna do? I can eat and then go lay down. And it was just like question after question after question.
Right.
And one point she was like, so when you go lay down, you can like lay down and go to sleep, or you can lay down and watch you. And I was just like, baby, like, just please.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanna eat and lay down. Because she was just asking like for this information, like what do you, and I get it because it's like, all right, if you go and lay down and go to sleep, then I may want to take a nap with you, or we could find something good to watch on TV together if you're going to, and I get it, but I was just like, I didn't have the capacity in that moment, which, you know, sometimes I could go down that rabbit hole with her, right? Like I could go to back and forth, but I did not have the capacity in that moment to like really engage on that level. And I literally put my hands like, man, I just really want to eat and lay down.
Yeah.
And to her credit, she wasn't like, well, what's your problem? She's like, okay, baby, and she left me alone to eat and lay down.
That's a good woman, boy.
But I know, I got the best
That's
one.
a
Only me,
good woman,
my
bro.
wife is telling me only me got a wife. No, but I mean, and that's growth because I know that there have been instances like before, it would have been a thing, or I would have gotten attitude, but she is growing and she is evolved, and she's really understands that, okay, well, that ain't really got nothing to do with her. Obviously, when I'm ready to talk, I can
For
talk
sure,
and I can
for
tell her
sure.
everything. But I got, and literally, I ate, I laid down, I got up, and we just kept it moving. It was good. It wasn't no attitude. It wasn't no animosity. And I still didn't even have to necessarily go back and just be like, okay, well, this is that, because I good. She's good. And so I think, like, I can't even tell you how, like, we got to that point. But I know it's through open and honest communication. But, like, how do we get couples now, or at least the women in our lives as men, to understand that she, like, it ain't, don't take it personally, it ain't about you in this moment.
Boy, EQ, this may be a little controversial.
Okay.
Couples have to also learn when is the right time to stop understanding and just listen to what the person is saying. Because I feel like validation requires us to understand it first before we act on it. But there are times in marriage where I don't have the luxury of understanding right now, but there's still a time crunch, so I need to execute on it. So the wife may say, Harrison, I want you to bring home some vanilla ice cream, please, and a jar of pickles. And I'll say, in my head, why? But in execution, okay, babe. And I feel like a lot of times we feel we have to understand things to do things. But a big component of healthy relationships is learning how to hold space for your partner to just be whatever that is and to not add to that burden that already exists. So sometimes I got to learn how to stop trying to understand. Because as a logical man, action don't make sense without understanding. Like, you need to tell me why you need $100. You need to show me why I have to do it this way. You need to tell me why I got to wait 30 minutes before I add the other layer. Like, help me understand logic. But there's time when we have to kind of bypass that. Where it's like, baby, I don't understand, but I trust you. And because I trust you, I don't need the understanding that you have to make this make sense. And if there's relationship, we could come back after the fact and have a conversation.
Bro, why I reacted the way that I did, because as you were saying that, but like literally that's what it is. Like, I
Right.
just trust you know why you need this. My job in this moment is to support you and to do, like, so I don't even, honestly, like, I don't even ask. Like, you say you need it, all right, Bob.
That's what it is.
Like, my only requirement is let me know what you need
Yeah.
so I can get it.
Right. And that's why I would say clarity is important. I just need you to tell me what you need.
Yeah.
So I can give it to you, and that's it.
Yeah.
And if we really married people, we could see each other again. There will be more moments where we could have dialogue on that.
Right.
We don't need to have it right now.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like so many couples feel like, if I don't have this conversation in this moment, it's lost to time forever.
Yeah.
And there's where regulation comes in.
Yeah.
Because I know you want to ask now, and I know you want to dig now. But wait, there'll be more opportunities.
Yeah, we ain't getting nowhere.
Yeah, we ain't going nowhere, you know?
Let me ask you this. So, I mean, you've helped so many couples, me and my wife included. You's ever therapist your wife? Like, she's ever come and be like, and then you start, like, how do you navigate as somebody who's a professional counselor? Like, you help people in relationships, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is what you do every day. How does that manifest or show up in your own marriage? Like, do you find yourself coaching or counseling yourself or counseling your wife? Like, how does that, like, I'm interested because I'm interested in that.
Yeah, so my wife knows me now to the point where if I'm not being authentic with myself, she calling it out. It don't help that she's a Taurus woman. You know? She just is very to the point when I'm not being authentic. And that's really why I love my wife. Her level of perpetual authenticity forces me, bro, to leave the jargon at the door. Because I know the words to kind of get around a certain thing, but she knows that I know those words too. and she'll say, Harrison, just be here for a minute. Okay? So it don't work. Like maybe when we was dating, I could have get away with it. But now it just doesn't work.
Right.
And again, this is a reflection of that constant vulnerability. As long as her and I are being vulnerable with ourselves, that's raw data and information for us to dialogue about. She'll just say, hey, baby, long day? Is it one of them long days you want to talk about? Long days you just need to go take a shower for? Like, I'm here for it. Which one? And then I let her know because I've been vulnerable with myself. And I'm like, it's both. I want to shower first, and then I want to tell you something about it. But when I tell you about something, I want to just be that. Could that be cool? And me not take it anyplace else? Okay. And we kind of have that relationship now. So it's like, maybe she's the therapist to me. And she doesn't even know it yet. And an interesting factoid, like whenever I go to events, it's just me. A lot of people want to pull my wife into what I do. But she is so strategic and specific for what I need her to be. Sometimes bringing her into that space changes her in a way that I can't benefit from my wife anymore. You know? And so we kind of also have that dynamic where she's my space where I come to kind of be something different.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave an event and continue that event. I want to leave that event and be Harry. You know, like I ain't no cognitive behavioral therapist now. Like we need chicken in the bag therapy. Like while we in the car waiting on this, let's talk, let's get some things out and let's deal. You know?
Oh man, I love that, man. But like, I appreciate you being in my life so much, man. And you know, we talking about going on 15 years of friendship, and I don't have many friends, but like I know Harrison Thompson is my damn boy, and it's always a joy. Like I get happy. And I'm excited to see you, and I'm so impressed with what you're doing in the space and the people that you're helping and what you're doing with your brand and just really the impact that you're having. You know, letting people know that, hey, you know, we could, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like you could feel, you could do. And so I appreciate all that you are and all that you're going to become, bro.
And let me send that back to you because you embody so much of what it means to redefine yourself, you know? And I'm not just talking about redefining yourself because you got burned out or you were just tired. You redefined yourself because you were honest with yourself as you discovered who you were. And I feel like that's so admirable. I see a lot of men who just suffer in silence and say that this is what my life could be. But you always were courageous enough to say, I'm shifting. And you never lived in the former truth of what you used to be. You allow yourself to receive the new truth of what you are and what you're becoming. And by that's so powerful for me because, you know, as men, we tend to feel like we have to stick things through, just like with your example with like your first wife, where it's like, I felt like in order to be a good father, I had to be in this marriage, but they were two separate things.
Yeah.
And I admire that. It helps me also achieve another level of truth where it's like, Harrison, you've been a therapist. Is this all you're trying to be, or are there other things in there too that need to come out? And for those who don't know, Ethan and his crew was a very instrumental part of me putting out my first season podcast, The Relational Reset. I appreciate you for everything you helped me by behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, in between the scenes. I don't know what else to say.
I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, man.
Everything, man. Everything that you are, everything that you're doing. So, all right, if people want to get in contact with you, look in your camera there and tell the people how they could reach out to you, get in contact with you if they want to connect, man.
For sure, man. If you want a formal session, you can always reach me at Relationship Management. That's on Shirley Street on Grosvenor's Close, off of Shirley Street on Grosvenor's Close. The numbers there are 356-7983 or 4. The WhatsApp number is 467-7505. And so I run all of my social media pages by myself. That's Instagram, that's Facebook, that's X. If you go on there and want to send me a DM, I'd be more than happy to respond. We ain't having no sessions in the DMs, but I'd be more than happy to steer you down the right path.
Also, you ain't getting the page handle though.
Harrison Thompson across all, but on Instagram it's HT4Real. On Facebook it's Harrison Thompson Official. On X it's Harrison Thompson.
Awesome. Hey guys, there you have it. Like, we just wrapped up this amazing conversation with my dear friend CBT. Is CBT or CTB?
CBT.
CBT.
You got it.
CBT. Harrison Thompson, if you want to know what CBT stand for, watch the opening introduction. But some key takeaways from this conversation was, whether you're a man, woman, child, or beast, vulnerability equals truth. Allow yourself to be vulnerable with yourself first so that you can be vulnerable and grow with those people that are nearest and dearest to you. And, it's okay to be vulnerable, and you can be in touch with your emotions without having to express it. There's a time and a place, and timing is a key component of that. And fellas, man, let's just reach out there. Brotherhood, fatherhood, and what was the last hood? It was brotherhood, fatherhood, and husbandhood. All of the hoods, the good hoods.
The good hoods.
Like, find your tribe, man. Find brothers, like, definitely find people other brothers that you could actually be vulnerable with, be truthful with, and be expressive with. Because we all need the brotherly bond, man.
Yes.
All right. And so, if you found some value in this podcast, please leave a comment, leave a like, share it. If you have somebody in your life that could benefit from this, please share it. And don't forget, get uncomfortable and do the work, because the world needs your greatness. Peace.